The rain hammered against the pavement like bullets, as Sarah Chen ducked under the awning of the Metropolitan Hotel. Her heart pounding against her ribs. She'd been walking home from her late shift at the hospital when she noticed him. The man in the black leather jacket who'd been following her for the past 6 blocks. Every time she'd glanced back, there he was, keeping pace, never closing the distance, but never falling behind either. She pressed herself against the marble column, scanning the crowded hotel entrance for somewhere to hide. That's when she saw him, a man in an impeccably tailored charcoal suit, maybe 45, with salt and pepper hair, and the kind of face that belonged on a billboard. He was standing alone, checking his watch with an air of authority that suggested he owned everything he surveyed. Sarah made a split-second decision. She rushed toward him, closing the gap in 3 quick steps, and slipped her arm through his. He stiffened immediately. "Please," she whispered urgently, leaning close. "Stay close, he'll think we're together. There's a man following me, don't look. Just please, pretend you know me. Just for a minute." The stranger's dark eyes swept over her face, then past her shoulder to the street beyond. His expression remained neutral, unreadable. For a terrible moment Sarah thought he might push her away, call security, or simply walk off. Instead his arm folded over hers with practiced ease, drawing her closer to his side. "Easy," he said quietly, his voice smooth as aged whiskey. "I've got you." "Where is he?" "Black leather jacket. Near the corner. He's been following me since 42nd Street. The man's jaw tightened almost imperceptibly. He guided her through the revolving doors into the hotel lobby, his hand settling on the small of her back with a possessive confidence that felt surprisingly natural. The warmth of the lobby enveloped them, crystal chandeliers, polished marble, the soft murmur of wealthy guests discussing their evening plans. "Stay with me," he murmured. "What's your name?" "Sarah Chen." "Vincent," he replied, leading her toward the bar. "Let's get you a drink, you're shaking." "I don't want a drink. I just want him to go away." "He will. But if we turn around now and you leave, he'll follow you again. Sit, order something. Let him see that you're not alone, that someone is looking out for you. Men like that are cowards. They only pursue women they think are vulnerable." Sarah let him guide her onto a bar stool, acutely aware of how expensive everything around her looked. Vincent signaled the bartender with a subtle gesture that suggested he did this often. "2 scotches, neat, the Macallan." "I really don't." "You don't have to drink it," Vincent said, his eyes still scanning the lobby. "But you need to look comfortable. Settled, like you belong here with me." The bartender returned with their drinks. Vincent picked up his glass, took a slow sip, then set it down with deliberate calm. His posture was relaxed, but Sarah noticed his eyes never stopped moving, cataloging every person who entered or exited the lobby. "Is he still out there?" she asked. "He came in, standing by the concierge desk. Don't look." Sarah's hands trembled as she wrapped them around the crystal glass. "What do I do?" "You breathe. You talk to me. You smile occasionally. Make him believe I'm someone who matters to you." "Why are you helping me?" Vincent's lips curved into something that wasn't quite a smile. "Let's just say I don't like predators." A man in a dark suit approached their position at the bar, not the one who'd been following her, but someone else, stockier, with a face that looked like it had been broken and reset several times. He leaned toward Vincent and spoke in a low voice that Sarah couldn't quite catch. Vincent's eyes hardened. He said something back, equally quiet, and the man nodded once before disappearing into the crowd. "Friend of yours?" Sarah asked. "Security. For the hotel?" "Something like that." Vincent took another sip of his scotch. "Your friend in the leather jacket just left through the main entrance. My associate is making sure he keeps walking." Relief washed over Sarah so powerfully that tears pricked her eyes. "Thank you, God, thank you. I didn't know what else to do. I'm a nurse. I work night shifts sometimes, and usually I take a cab. But tonight I thought I'd save the money and just walk, and then I noticed him and—" "Sarah," Vincent's voice cut through her rambling gently but firmly. "You're safe now." She nodded, wiping at her eyes with the back of her hand. "I'm sorry, I just grabbed you. You could have been anyone. That was stupid. But I wasn't anyone." His dark eyes held hers. "You have good instincts. In a room full of people, You chose the one person who could actually help you. How did I know that? You didn't, but you took a calculated risk. He pushed the untouched scotch toward her. Now drink this, doctor's orders. I'm not a doctor, I'm a nurse. Then nurse's orders. Sarah managed a weak laugh, and took a sip. The scotch burned going down, but the warmth that spread through her chest felt fortifying. This probably costs more than I make in a day. Then enjoy it. They sat in silence for a moment. The bar was filling up with the evening crowd. Businessmen, tourists, couples dressed for expensive dinners. Sarah became increasingly aware that she was still wearing her scrubs under her rain-soaked jacket, her sneakers squeaking slightly on the polished floor. I should go, she said. You've done more than enough. I've probably ruined your evening. You haven't ruined anything, and I'm not letting you leave until I know you can get home safely. Where do you live? Astoria. I'll have my driver take you. No, that's too much. I can take the subway. Or, Sarah. Vincent's voice carried a note of finality. Don't argue with me on this. My driver will take you home. Non-negotiable. Something in his tone made Sarah's pulse quicken, not from fear, but from the sudden realization that Vincent wasn't just being chivalrous. He was someone accustomed to giving orders and having them obeyed. The way the hotel staff moved around him with deference. The way that security guard had appeared and disappeared at his word. The casual authority in every gesture. This wasn't just a successful businessman. This was someone with real power. Who are you? She asked quietly. Vincent studied her for a long moment, as if deciding how much to reveal. Someone who happened to be in the right place at the right time. That's not an answer. It's the only one I'm giving tonight. He pulled out his phone and typed something quickly. My driver will be out front in 5 minutes. He'll wait until you're safely inside your building. Vincent, don't make me worry about you getting home, Sarah. I have enough things to worry about. There was something in his voice, a weariness, a weight, that made Sarah stop arguing. She nodded. Okay, thank you. They walked together through the lobby, and Sarah was acutely aware of the eyes that followed them. The concierge nodded respectfully at Vincent. A woman in a fur coat smiled at him with obvious recognition and interest. Even the doorman straightened perceptibly as they approached. Outside, the rain had softened to a drizzle. A black Mercedes pulled up to the curb with perfect timing, its windows tinted so dark that Sarah couldn't see inside. The driver emerged, an older man with a weathered face and alert eyes, and opened the rear door. Take Miss Chen home, Vincent instructed. Astoria, make sure she gets inside safely. Yes, sir. Sarah turned to face Vincent, suddenly reluctant to leave. I don't know how to thank you. Be more careful. Take cabs at night. Don't trust that the world is safer than it is. I will, I promise. She hesitated, then added. Is there a way I can repay you, buy you coffee sometime, or? No need, but his expression softened slightly. Though, if you insist on being grateful, do me a favor next time you see someone who needs help, remember tonight, pass it on. Sarah nodded, feeling an unexpected lump in her throat. She climbed into the Mercedes, and as the door closed, she caught one last glimpse of Vincent standing under the awning. His hands in his pockets, watching her leave with an expression she couldn't quite read. The car ride was silent, except for the soft jazz playing on the radio. The driver asked for her address only once, then navigated through the rain-slicked streets with practiced efficiency. Sarah leaned her head against the window, replaying the evening in her mind. Something about Vincent nagged at her, a feeling that she'd stepped into something much larger than a simple good deed. When they pulled up outside her building, the driver waited until she'd unlocked the front door and was safely inside before pulling away. Sarah climbed the 4 flights to her apartment. Exhausted but too wired to sleep, she made tea and curled up on her couch, scrolling through her phone. On impulse, she typed Vincent Metropolitan Hotel New York into the search bar. The results made her blood run cold. Vincent Marcello, alleged head of the Marcello crime family, suspected of running one of the most powerful organized crime operations on the East Coast. Multiple investigations, never convicted. Known for his legitimate business holdings, hotels, restaurants, real estate, that were rumored to be fronts for money laundering, extortion, and worse. Sarah stared at the photos. That was him. Definitely him, The same chiseled features, the same authoritative presence. In one photo he was leaving a courthouse, surrounded by lawyers. In another he was at a charity gala, smiling for the cameras with a stunning woman on his arm. A mafia boss. She'd asked a mafia boss to pretend to be her boyfriend. The tea grew cold in her hands as she read article after article. The Marcello family controlled significant portions of the city's underground economy. They were sophisticated, ruthless, and nearly untouchable. Vincent himself was described as enigmatic and dangerous, a man who wielded power through both legal and illegal means. And he'd helped her, sent her home in his personal car, treated her with a courtesy that seemed at odds with everything she was reading. Sarah didn't sleep that night. 3 days passed. Sarah went to work, came home, tried to forget about that rainy evening, but she couldn't stop thinking about Vincent's eyes, the way he'd understood her fear immediately, the quiet authority with which he'd handled the situation. She was restocking supplies in the ICU when her supervisor found her. "Sarah, there's someone asking for you at the main desk. Says it's personal." Sarah's heart jumped. "Who?" "Didn't give a name, but he's very insistent." She made her way to the main floor, her mind racing through possibilities. It couldn't be Vincent. Why would he come here? How would he even know where she worked? But it wasn't Vincent. It was the man who'd been following her that night. Black leather jacket, cold eyes, standing right there in the hospital lobby. Sarah froze, her blood turning to ice. He smiled when he saw her, a predatory expression that made her skin crawl. "Hey, remember me?" Sarah's training kicked in. She was in public, surrounded by people. Security was 20 feet away. She straightened her spine and kept her voice level. "I don't know you, please leave. I just want to talk. I have nothing to say to you." "See, that's not very friendly." He took a step closer. "Especially after you got me in trouble the other night. Sending your boyfriend's goons after me. That wasn't cool." "I don't have a boyfriend, and I don't know what you're talking about." "The guy at the hotel, Vincent Marcello. He said the name like a curse. Do you have any idea who he is? What he does?" Sarah's pulse hammered in her ears. "I'm calling security." "Wait." His hand shot out, not quite touching her but close enough to be threatening. "I just want you to give him a message. Tell him Marcus Delaney is looking for him. Tell him we're not done." "I'm not telling him anything. I don't know him." Marcus laughed, a harsh sound. "Sure you don't. That's why he sent his driver to take you home. That's why he had me followed for 2 days afterward. You picked a hell of a bodyguard, sweetheart." Before Sarah could respond, hospital security arrived. Marcus backed away with his hands raised, that predatory smile still on his face. "See you around, Sarah Chen," he called over his shoulder as security escorted him out. Sarah stood there shaking, as a nurse touched her arm with concern. "Are you okay? Do you know that man?" "No," Sarah whispered. "I've never seen him before in my life." But that was a lie, and they both knew it. Sarah called in sick the next day. The first time she'd done so in 2 years. She stayed in her apartment with the deadbolt locked, and the curtains drawn, jumping at every sound in the hallway. Marcus Delaney knew her name, her workplace. How long had he been watching her? And what did he want with Vincent? By evening she'd made a decision. She had to warn Vincent. Whatever was happening, she'd inadvertently stepped into the middle of it, and he deserved to know that someone was actively looking for him. She pulled up the Metropolitan Hotel's number, her finger hovering over the call button. What would she say? "Hi, remember me, the woman you helped? Well, the stalker came back and he mentioned your name." Before she could decide, her intercom buzzed. Sarah jumped, her heart racing. She crept to the speaker. "Yes. Miss Chen, I'm Anthony. I work for Mr. Marcello. May I come up?" Sarah's mind reeled. "How do you know where I live?" "Mr. Marcello asked me to check on you. He heard there was an incident at the hospital yesterday." "How did he?" Sarah stopped. Of course Vincent had heard. Men like him had eyes and ears everywhere. "I'm fine. Tell him thank you. I'd feel better if I could verify that in person. Miss Chen, just a quick conversation." Sarah buzzed him up, then immediately regretted it. What if this was a trick? What if Anthony wasn't who he said he was? But when she opened the door with the chain still attached, She recognized the man from the hotel. The one who'd approached Vincent at the bar. Stocky build, broken nose, alert eyes. She unlatched the chain. Anthony stepped inside with a professional demeanor that suggested he'd done this 100 times before. Mr. Marcello wants to make sure you're safe. He's concerned about Marcus Delaney's approach yesterday. I'm fine. I told security everything. Hospital security isn't equipped to handle someone like Delaney. Anthony's expression was grave. Mr. Marcello would like to offer you protection until this situation is resolved. Protection? I don't need protection. I barely know Vincent. This has nothing to do with me. Unfortunately, Delaney has made it about you. He's using you to get to Mr. Marcello. That puts you in danger. Sarah sank onto her couch, her legs suddenly weak. What does he want? Why is he doing this? That's between Delaney and Mr. Marcello. But I can tell you this, Delaney is dangerous. He's violent, unpredictable, and he holds grudges. The fact that he approached you at your workplace means he's escalating. So what am I supposed to do? Hide in my apartment forever? No. You're supposed to let us help you. Mr. Marcello has arranged for a security detail. 2 men will be watching your building and escorting you to and from work. You won't even notice them most of the time. This is insane. I just asked him to pretend to be my boyfriend for 5 minutes. Sometimes 5 minutes is enough to change everything. Anthony handed her a business card with a phone number on it. Nothing else. Mr. Marcello's direct line. If you need anything, if you feel threatened in any way, you call that number immediately. Understood. Sarah took the card with numb fingers. Can I talk to him? To Vincent? He's out of the country on business. He'll be back next week. Out of the country. Doing what? Sarah didn't want to know. After Anthony left, she sat in the growing darkness of her apartment, turning the card over and over in her hands. Her quiet, ordinary life had been upended in the span of a few rainy minutes. She'd stumbled into something dangerous, something that existed in the shadows of the city she thought she knew. And Vincent Marcello, mob boss and unlikely savior, had somehow become her protector. The security was subtle but present. Sarah noticed them on her 3rd day back at work. A man in a blue jacket reading a newspaper outside the hospital entrance. Another one in a parked sedan across the street. They never approached her, never acknowledged her, but they were always there. At first, it felt invasive, then gradually it became reassuring. Marcus Delaney didn't return, but Sarah saw signs of him. Her locker at work was jimmied open one night, nothing taken but everything disturbed. She received a bouquet of black roses with no card. Someone left a note on her apartment door that read, "You can't hide from me." Each incident was reported to the police, who took statements and filed reports and did essentially nothing. But each incident also got reported to the number on Anthony's card, and the response was immediate. More security, different routes to and from work. A new lock on her apartment door, installed by a professional who worked for one of Vincent's legitimate businesses. Sarah was living in a cage made of protection and fear. 2 weeks after the incident at the hospital, Vincent called. Sarah. His voice on the phone was exactly as she remembered, smooth, controlled, with an undercurrent of steel. I apologize for not reaching out sooner. I've been dealing with some complications. Anthony told me you were out of the country. I was. I'm back now. I heard about the incidents. Are you all right? Sarah trailed off. How did she answer that? I don't know. This is all so surreal. I keep thinking I'll wake up and find out it was a weird dream. I wish I could tell you it was. But Delaney is very real and very dangerous. I need you to understand something, Sarah. This situation, it's not your fault. Delaney and I have a history that goes back years. He's using you to try to provoke me, to draw me out. What kind of history? A pause. The kind that ends badly for someone. I'm working on resolving it, but these things take time. How much time? I don't know. In the meantime, I need you to continue following Anthony's instructions. The security stays in place. You don't deviate from your routine. You call me if anything feels wrong. Vincent, I can't live like this indefinitely. I have a life. I have work. I know. His voice softened. Believe me, I know. This isn't what I wanted for you, but right now your safety is what matters most. Why? The question burst out before Sarah could stop it. Why do you care? You don't know me. I'm just some random woman who grabbed your arm in a hotel lobby. The silence stretched so long that Sarah thought the call had disconnected. Then Vincent spoke, his voice quieter than before. Maybe I'm tired of people getting hurt because of me. Maybe I saw something in you that reminded me. There are still good people in this world worth protecting. Does it matter why? Yes, Sarah said. It matters to me. Then let's just say I'd rather you stayed alive. Is that reason enough? It wasn't, but Sarah didn't push. When can I see you? Talk to you in person. Soon, I have some things to handle first. But Sarah, thank you for being patient with all of this. I know it's asking a lot. After he hung up, Sarah sat with the phone pressed to her chest, her heart beating faster than it should. There was something in Vincent's voice, a weariness mixed with something else she couldn't quite identify. Regret? Protectiveness? Whatever it was, it made her want to see him again. The meeting was arranged for the following Tuesday at a restaurant in Little Italy that Vincent owned. Sarah arrived to find the entire place empty except for one table in the back, where Vincent sat with a glass of wine and an expression that suggested he'd been waiting a while. He stood when she entered, and Sarah was struck again by how commanding his presence was. He wore a black suit tailored so perfectly it probably cost more than her car. And his dark eyes tracked her movement across the room with unwavering focus. Sarah, thank you for coming. Did I have a choice? A ghost of a smile touched his lips. There's always a choice. They sat across from each other, and a waiter materialized with another glass of wine for Sarah. She took a sip to calm her nerves. You look tired, Vincent observed. I haven't been sleeping well. Funny how being stalked by a violent criminal affects your sleep schedule. I'm sorry. Are you? Sarah leaned forward. Because from where I'm sitting, this is your world. Your fight, your enemy. I'm just collateral damage. Vincent's jaw tightened. You're not collateral damage. You're someone who deserves to live without fear. And I'm going to make sure that happens. How? By having me followed everywhere. By turning my life into a prison. How is this better than what Delaney's doing? Because I'm keeping you alive, Vincent said, his voice hard. Delaney wants to hurt you to hurt me. My men are making sure he can't do that. But why me? What did I do that was so important? Vincent set down his wineglass with careful precision. You stood next to me, in public. In front of people who know who I am. That made you significant. And Delaney, in his twisted mind, decided that meant you were important to me. And are you? Am I? The question hung between them like smoke. Vincent held her gaze for a long moment before answering. Yes, you are. Sarah's breath caught. Why? Because you're brave. Because when you needed help you trusted a stranger. Because in a world full of people who look away you looked right at me and asked for help. Do you have any idea how rare that is? Vincent. And because he continued, his voice dropping lower, I haven't been able to stop thinking about you since that night. Which is a complication I don't need, but apparently can't avoid. Sarah's heart hammered in her chest. This is crazy. Yes. You're a criminal. Yes. I should be running in the opposite direction. You should. Vincent's eyes never left hers. But you're not. He was right. She wasn't. Against every rational instinct, against everything she knew about self-preservation, Sarah found herself drawn to this dangerous, complicated man who'd somehow become her protector. What do we do now? She asked quietly. Now you eat dinner with me. We talk, we pretend, just for an hour, that we're two normal people having a normal evening. We're not normal people. No, Vincent agreed, but we can pretend. Dinner arrived, dishes Sarah hadn't ordered, but that were apparently Vincent's favorites. Also buco, risotto, fresh bread, a salad with pears and gorgonzola. They ate and talked, and Sarah found herself relaxing despite everything. Vincent told her about growing up in Brooklyn, about his mother who died when he was young, about learning the family business from his father. He edited heavily, she knew, skipping over the dark parts, but the affection in his voice when he spoke about his childhood was real. Sarah told him about medical school, about the patient who'd inspired her to become a nurse, about her parents who'd emigrated from Taiwan and worked 2 jobs each to give her opportunities they'd never had. For an hour, they were just two people sharing a meal. Then Vincent's phone buzzed. He glanced at it, and his expression hardened. I have to go. Something's come up. Delaney? Don't worry about it. Anthony will take you home. He stood then hesitated. Sarah, I want you to know, I'm going to end this, soon, and when I do you'll be free to go back to your normal life. What if I don't want normal anymore? The words surprised them both. Vincent studied her for a long moment, then leaned down and kissed her forehead. Then we'll figure something out. But first I have to keep you safe. He left and Sarah sat alone in the empty restaurant, her forehead tingling where his lips had touched, wondering what she'd gotten herself into. The end came suddenly, violently on a Thursday night in March. Sarah was leaving work when the black sedan that usually waited for her wasn't there. Instead there was Marcus Delaney, leaning against a car with a gun barely concealed under his jacket. Hello again, Sarah. Sarah's blood froze. She looked around frantically. Where was her security? Where was Anthony? They're not coming, Marcus said, reading her mind. I made sure of that. You and me, we're going to take a little drive. You're going to help me send a message to your boyfriend. He's not my boyfriend. That's not what it looks like, and frankly I don't care. Get in the car. Sarah calculated her options. The hospital was behind her, full of people. If she screamed, Marcus pulled out the gun. Don't even think about it. Get in the car or I start shooting and I don't care who gets hit. Sarah got in the car. They drove in silence, Marcus keeping the gun pointed at her the entire time. Sarah's mind raced. Where were they going? What was Marcus planning? How long until Vincent realized something was wrong? They ended up at a warehouse on the waterfront, the kind of abandoned industrial space that showed up in every crime movie Sarah had ever seen. Marcus dragged her inside, zip-tied her hands to a chair, and then made a phone call. I've got her. Yeah, your little nurse. You want her back. You come alone. No cops, no men, just you. 1 hour. You know the place. He hung up and smiled at Sarah. Now we wait. You're going to kill him. That's the plan, and you're going to watch. Then maybe I'll kill you too, depending on how I feel. Sarah's mind went blank with terror, but she forced herself to stay calm. Why? What did Vincent do to you? What did he do? Marcus laughed bitterly. He destroyed my family. My father worked for the Marcellos for 30 years. Then Vincent decided he was stealing, which he wasn't, and had him killed. My father, shot in the street like a dog. I'm sorry. Sorry doesn't bring him back. Sorry doesn't fix anything. Only blood fixes blood. They waited in tense silence. Sarah tried to think of a way out, but her hands were bound tight, and Marcus never took his eyes off her. Exactly 52 minutes after the phone call, the warehouse door opened. Vincent walked in alone, his hands visible and empty. Marcello, Marcus called out. Right on time, how noble of you. Let her go, Delaney. This is between us. Oh, she'll go. After you're dead, and I've made sure she understands what happens to people who ally themselves with scum like you. Vincent's eyes met Sarah's across the warehouse, and she saw something in them that terrified her more than Marcus's gun: acceptance, resignation. He'd come here knowing he might not leave. Your father was stealing, Vincent said calmly. Over $2 million over 5 years. I gave him chances to pay it back. He chose to run instead. Liar. I have the records. I showed them to you. You refused to believe them. Because they were fake. They weren't, and you know it, but you need someone to blame. And I'm convenient. Vincent took a step closer. So here I am. Let Sarah go, and you can have what you came for. Vincent, no. Sarah's voice cracked. He didn't look at her. Delaney. Do we have a deal? Marcus's gun wavered. For a moment Sarah thought he might actually do it, might actually let her go. Then everything happened at once. The warehouse's side doors crashed open. Men poured in, Vincent's men, heavily armed, moving with military precision. Marcus spun, firing wildly, and Vincent dove toward Sarah's chair. Gunfire erupted. The noise was deafening. Vincent cut through Sarah's zip ties with a knife she hadn't seen him pull. Stay down. But Marcus was running toward them, gun raised, screaming something incoherent. Vincent shoved Sarah behind him, shielding her with his body. Another shot. Marcus crumpled to the ground, blood blooming across his chest. Then silence. Anthony appeared at Vincent's side. Buildings secure. Police are 3 minutes out. Vincent hauled Sarah to her feet, his hands running over her frantically. Are you hurt? Did he touch you? Sarah, talk to me. I'm okay. I'm okay. But she was shaking so hard she could barely stand. Vincent pulled her against his chest, his arms wrapped around her so tightly she could barely breathe. I'm sorry, God, Sarah. I'm so sorry. I should have kept you safer. I should have. You came, Sarah whispered into his shirt. You came for me. Of course I came. His voice was rough with emotion. Did you think I wouldn't? Police sirens wailed in the distance. Vincent pulled back, cupping her face in his hands. Listen to me. The police are going to ask you questions. You tell them the truth. Everything except the dinner. You don't know me beyond that night at the hotel. Understood? Vincent. Anthony will stay with you. He'll make sure you're protected during the investigation. But Sarah, this is important. You and me, we can't see each other again. Not for a while. It's not safe. I don't care about safe. I do. He kissed her then, hard and desperate. A kiss that tasted like goodbye. I care about you staying alive, so you're going to do what I say, and you're going to forget about me. I can't forget about you. Try. Vincent released her as the sirens grew louder. Anthony. Anthony stepped forward, gently taking Sarah's arm. Come on, Miss Chen. Let's get you somewhere safe. Sarah watched Vincent walk away, disappearing into the shadows of the warehouse as police lights painted the walls red and blue. She wanted to run after him, to tell him she didn't care about the danger, that she'd rather take the risk than lose him. But Anthony's grip was firm, and Vincent was already gone. The investigation took 3 weeks. Sarah told her story so many times she started to feel like a recording. Marcus Delaney had been stalking her. Vincent Marcello had helped her one night at a hotel. Delaney had kidnapped her to lure Vincent into a trap. Vincent's security team had rescued her. Marcus was dead. The media ate it up. Mob boss saves nurse. Dramatic shootout, star-crossed connection between two worlds. Sarah's face was plastered across newspapers. Reporters camped outside her building. The hospital put her on administrative leave for her own safety. Vincent's name came up constantly, but he was never charged. The shooting was ruled self-defense by his men. The police investigation went nowhere. Marcus Delaney was buried with minimal fanfare, his vendetta ending in an abandoned warehouse. And Sarah didn't hear from Vincent at all. She tried calling the number Anthony had given her. Disconnected. She went to the Metropolitan Hotel. They told her Mr. Marcello was traveling indefinitely. She even tried sending a letter but never received a response. After a month, Sarah accepted that it was over. Vincent had meant what he said. They couldn't see each other again. He'd saved her life, and then cut her out of his, clean and final as a surgical incision. She went back to work. Moved to a different neighborhood. Tried to rebuild some semblance of normalcy. But at night she'd lie awake and remember the feeling of Vincent's arms around her. The desperation in his kiss. The look in his eyes when he'd shielded her body with his own. She'd saved his number from the disconnected phone in her contacts. A digital ghost of a connection that had burned too bright and too fast. 3 months after the warehouse, Sarah was leaving her new apartment when she saw the black Mercedes parked across the street. Her heart stopped. Vincent leaned against it, wearing jeans and a dark coat, looking less like a mob boss and more like an ordinary man. When he saw her, he straightened, and something in his expression made Sarah's breath catch. She crossed the street slowly, afraid that if she moved too fast he'd disappear like smoke. Hi, Vincent said quietly. Hi. Sarah's voice shook. You disappeared. I had to. The attention after the warehouse was too much. It wasn't safe for you to be associated with me. And now? Now things have settled. The press has moved on. Delaney's people have backed down. It's safer. Why are you here? Vincent reached out and tucked a strand of hair behind her ear, his fingers lingering against her cheek. Because I tried to forget you, and I couldn't. Because 3 months away from you was harder than anything I've ever done. Because I'm selfish enough to want something good in my life, even if it's complicated. Vincent, I can't promise you normal, Sarah. I can't promise you safe. My world is dangerous. And there will always be people who might use you to get to me. But I can promise that I'll protect you with everything I have. I can promise that what I feel for you is real. Sarah's eyes filled with tears. What do you feel? Everything. His voice was rough. I feel everything when I'm with you. You make me want to be better than what I am. You saved my life. You saved mine first. That night at the hotel I was drowning, Sarah. In this life, in these choices I've made, and then you grabbed my arm and looked at me like I was someone worth trusting. Do you have any idea what that did to me? Sarah wrapped her arms around his neck, pulling him close. So what happens now? Now. Vincent smiled, really smiled, for the first time since she'd known him. Now we figure it out together. If you're willing? I'm terrified. Me too. But I'm in. Vincent kissed her, slow and deep, right there on the street, in broad daylight. When they finally pulled apart, Sarah was crying and laughing at the same time, and Vincent's arms around her felt like the safest place in the world. This is crazy, she whispered. Absolutely. We're going to have to make a lot of compromises. I know. And there are going to be problems. Undoubtedly. Sarah pulled back to look at him. But you're worth it. Vincent's eyes softened. So are you, Sarah Chen. So are you? They stood there for a long moment, two people from different worlds who'd found each other in the chaos, holding on despite everything that said they shouldn't. Then Vincent opened the car door. Come on. Let me take you to breakfast. Just breakfast. For now. His smile was wicked. We'll work up to the rest. Sarah climbed into the Mercedes, and as they drove away into the morning light, she realized that sometimes the best things in life come from the most unexpected moments, from a snap decision on a rainy night, from trusting a stranger, from choosing courage over fear. She'd grabbed Vincent Marcello's arm in a hotel lobby and changed both their lives forever.